We often assume loud, confident people are the smartest. Psychology reveals a very different reality. True intelligence is usually much quieter. The most dangerous ignorance feels like expertise. It creates a blind spot for our own limits. 1. The overconfidence trap. This happens when people lack the knowledge to see mistakes. Cognitive psychology calls this the Dunning-Kruger effect. It means the less you know, the more certain you feel. Without facts, you cannot judge your own performance. You lack the tools to recognize a failure. You have probably seen this on social media. Someone reads one post and feels like an expert. They might start lecturing a doctor on their specialty. To them, a tiny perspective feels like the whole truth. They are not always trying to be arrogant. They just do not know enough to realize they are wrong. This creates a permanent barrier to your growth. You cannot learn if you believe you have mastered it. It turns a lack of knowledge into a locked door. Have you ever argued before doing the actual research? This trap makes even bright people appear less capable. Check your certainty the next time you feel totally right. Real intelligence starts by admitting what you do not know. Overconfidence is loud, but other signs are more defensive. You have likely met someone who treats a simple correction like a declaration of war. 2. Aggressive defensiveness. Psychology shows this behavior is often driven by a process called belief perseverance. This is the mental tendency to cling to a belief even after it is proven wrong. For some people, updating their mental map is actually physically painful for the brain. When they are challenged, their nervous system triggers a full fight-or-flight response. In that moment, they aren't arguing about the facts anymore. They are simply fighting for their very survival. Imagine showing someone a clear document that proves they made a scheduling error. Instead of an apology, they might start yelling about the system being rigged. They may even attack your character to distract from the mistake they made. By making the environment hostile, they effectively shut down the conversation. This defensiveness creates a dangerous feedback loop in their personal growth. Because they cannot accept new information, they stay stuck in outdated patterns. While the world evolves, they remain firmly anchored to their old errors. They eventually lose the respect of peers, who value truth over being right. Over time, people simply stop trying to help them improve or succeed. Think about the last time you were proven wrong about a minor detail. Did you feel a heat in your chest or a sudden urge to argue back? Being able to say you are right is actually a high-level cognitive skill. It proves that your logic is stronger than your primitive need for ego safety. If you prioritize your ego over reality, you are essentially blinding yourself. However, intelligence is not the only thing people use to dominate a room. Being the loudest voice in a room often feels like a display of power. 3. The need to talk over others. Psychology shows that constant interruption usually signals a failure in the brain's braking system. Cognitive psychology calls this low inhibitory control. It means the urge to speak is so intense that you cannot process incoming information. While someone else talks, your mind is busy preparing your next sentence. You aren't actually listening to their points or understanding their perspective. Think of a friend who waits for the smallest pause to jump in. They often repeat things you just said because they weren't really there mentally. It feels like they are treating the conversation as a competition to be won. The real-life cost of this behavior is significant social isolation. People eventually stop sharing valuable insights or deep feelings with you. They realize that their words are just falling into a void. By cutting others off, you essentially cut yourself off from personal growth. You miss the subtle cues that help you navigate complex social worlds. Do you find yourself interrupting people when you get excited? It might feel like passion, but to others, it looks like a lack of control. Next time, try waiting 3 seconds after someone finishes speaking. You will be surprised by how much more you actually hear and learn. Listening is a high-level cognitive skill that requires true mental effort. Those who cannot do it often reveal they are stuck in their own loops. While talking is one sign, how you process information reveals even more. True intelligence isn't just about knowing facts. It is about seeing the invisible threads connecting those facts together. 4. Literal thinking only. Cognitive psychology calls this concrete thinking. In this state, the brain focuses strictly on immediate physical details. When you think this way, you often struggle to grasp metaphors. You fail to see the big picture because the details feel too loud. You process the world as isolated events rather than fluid patterns. This lack of abstraction makes it difficult to predict what happens next. Imagine a worker who follows a safety rule to the exact letter. They follow that rule so strictly that they actually cause an accident. They see the words on the paper, but not the emergency unfolding. Because they lack mental flexibility, they wait for orders while the room burns. They do exactly what they were told, yet they fail completely. The real-world cost of this habit is a constant state of surprise. You become easy to exploit because you only see the bait. You miss the trap hiding right behind the prize. Socially, literal thinkers often miss sarcasm or subtle warnings. They feel left out of the joke or confused by social cues. You might notice this in yourself if you feel blindsided by change. Ask yourself, do you focus on the what instead of the why? When someone gives advice, do you look at their words or their intent? Stepping back to view the whole system is a hallmark of intelligence. Without that distance, you are just a passenger in your own life. Recognizing the pattern is the first step toward breaking the cycle. When things go wrong, it is tempting to believe the universe is simply out to get you. 5. The blame game. Cognitive psychology calls this behavior having an external locus of control. You begin to believe that outside forces determine your success more than your own effort. It is a mental shortcut used to avoid the heavy discomfort of personal failure. Think of a coworker who blames their keyboard or the weather for a late report. They find any external reason to avoid admitting they simply started the task too late. The real danger of this habit is that it prevents any chance of actual growth. You can never fix a problem if you refuse to admit you are the one holding the tools. If the world is always the problem, you will stay stuck in the same frustrating cycles. True intelligence requires the mental strength to see your own role in a difficult mess. You might find yourself looking for a scapegoat when things go wrong today. When you do that, you are accidentally giving away your power to change your life. Low intelligence often hides behind this stubborn refusal to be held responsible. Ask yourself if you are driving the car or just complaining about the road. The people who adapt the fastest are those who stop looking for someone to blame. Mental growth usually stops the moment the pointing finger begins. Ultimately, intelligence is not just about the facts you have memorized. It is about how you handle the moments when you are clearly in the wrong. The truth is, we all fall into these subtle traps from time to time. Noticing these behaviors in yourself is the first sign of real mental maturity. Remember to stay curious about your own mind and keep watching the patterns.